Why do some people achieve success while others seem like losers their whole lives no matter what they do? Is it some kind of stigma? Why does it sometimes seem that the more carefully you plan something, the more it goes off course? What an injustice. It can make you grumpy and bitter. How do you learn to play this game? Let's start. There's always a poor student in every school. Let's call him David. Teachers scold him for his poor performance, but it doesn't make him any better. Initially, David tries to improve the situation and get rid of the stigma of being a poor student, but he always returns to where he started. Eventually, he decides to simply accept his fate and admit that he is a complete loser. Now David constantly has to maintain this status, reminding himself and the whole world how bad he is. Each time he gets another bad grade, David convinces himself he is right. This is how self-perception is formed. Dr. Maltz says that the mind creates a composite image of the personality, and for this, evidence and actions are needed. The more repetitive the scenarios, the stronger this image is reinforced. David was repeatedly scolded for bad grades, which prompted him to create the image of a poor student. He began to identify himself with his mistakes and failures. People say, "I'm not cut out for this. I have a terrible memory for names. I've always been bad at sports." Instead of saying, "I failed," they say, "I am a failure." We all have some false self-perception that we prove over and over again. The fact is that Maltz was a plastic surgeon and was well aware of how people become hostages of their own fabricated image. The most common misconception before plastic surgery is the complete certainty that correcting a physical defect will help boost self-esteem. Once, a very shy lady came to Maltz's clinic. She had a bump on her nose which made her always feel insecure. The doctor successfully performed the surgery, and now her face featured a neat nose. After the rehabilitation period, the doctor asked the patient how she felt. "Doctor, I don't feel any difference. My face is still hideous." Maltz showed her the before and after photos and asked the woman to compare the pictures, to which she replied, "Yes, visually there is a difference, but I still feel the same." It didn't make me more confident. Dr. Maltz recalls many patients who refused to accept their appearance, whether before or after the operation. It is impossible to remove a defect of the soul with a scalpel. The root of the problems lay in the human mind. This is what prompted Maltz to dedicate his life to finding ways of internal healing. He began to study the subconscious. The subconscious mechanism is activated by internal settings. If you program yourself for success, the mind will follow the given setup, and conversely, the pursuit of a negative image triggers a failure mechanism. The subconscious is capable of changing reality. How does it do this? With the help of imagination. Strange as it may sound, imagination changes life. If everyone knew this, they wouldn't grab their smartphones right after waking up. Looking inside, you will know yourself and life, but what will 30 minutes of scrolling Instagram give you? Here's an interesting example. A group of students were asked to imagine plunging their right hand into icy water. And what do you think? Connected sensors recorded a drop in temperature specifically in that part of the body. And when they were asked to imagine a burning forehead, the readings showed an actual increase in skin temperature. How is this possible? It's all thanks to the power of suggestion. Our nervous system cannot distinguish imagined experiences from real ones. It responds to every thought as if it were actually happening. I want to tell the story of Major James Nesmith, who spent 7 years in captivity. He was literally always in a cage, saw no one, communicated with no one, lived in isolation. For the first few months, he hoped and prayed for release, but eventually realized he would go mad if he didn't occupy himself with something else. He had no choice but to live in his imagination. In freedom, he was fond of golf. It was his solace. Therefore, while in prison, he imagined himself on a golf course, the clothes he wore on the field, the smell of freshly cut grass, the warmth of the sun, and the chirping of birds. Then he visualized practicing his swing and making a shot. He fantasized about golf for 7 years. After his release, James's physical health was undermined by long confinement. But despite this, the first thing he did after leaving prison was to go to the golf course. And to everyone's surprise, he scored 74 points. This is a brilliant result for someone who hadn't played golf for 7 years. Such is the power of imagination. We should use it to change our self-perception. Here's an exercise for you. Step 1. Sit at a table. Take a comfortable position. Then imagine your left leg filling with concrete, becoming heavier with every second. Shift your attention to your right leg. It also turns into concrete, becoming heavier and heavier with each moment. Move your attention to your left hand. Feel how the fingers get heavy. The wrist, the whole arm becomes very heavy, so heavy that it pulls you down and your body even leans to the left. Then shift your attention to your right hand and feel the same sensations as in the left hand. Let your body fill with concrete from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Step 2. Now imagine the exact opposite. Your left leg has become as light as a feather, so light that it starts to float in the air. You no longer feel it. The feeling of lightness fills your right leg too. Soon your entire body becomes weightless and lifts off the ground. You float, rising higher and higher into the clouds. Step 3. Now, when you are completely relaxed, proceed to create a new image of yourself. If you are shy and reserved, imagine how you talk easily with strangers. Afraid to swim? Think about how you swim calmly in the pool, how you enjoy the process. Imagine everything in the smallest detail. Feel positive emotions in your body. Thus, the first 2 steps were devoted to physical relaxation. Only in a relaxed state do we begin to build a new image of ourselves. This is very important. Sometimes a person strives for something so intensely that it causes physical tension and anxiety, even if it's a positive event. The more effort you put in, the further the intended goal recedes. And only when a person lets go of control and stops trying does everything come by itself. Why does this happen? When we put in too much effort and try to push forward, the creative mechanism jams. Just let events happen. It's not necessary to plan every detail. Be yourself, then the creative mechanism will work properly. For example, when Edison felt stuck in his research, he would go take a nap, thus giving his brain a chance to rest and find a new creative solution. A daytime nap improves the function of the part of the brain responsible for creative thinking. Often the best ideas come right after waking up. But of course, it's easier said than done. It's not so easy to get rid of tension, especially when it comes to a situation where we want to achieve an immediate result. Dr. Maltz emphasizes the importance of relaxing the physical body. New solutions come in a state of rest. So, let's discuss 3 more points from the Dr. Maltz's book to pay attention to. First, how to feel like a winner. What is this feeling? Imagine that a test in your favorite subject is coming up. You are so knowledgeable that you are 100% sure of your success. You have nothing to worry about. Or you are invited to an interview for your dream job. You don't know how the meeting will go, but you are sure that the job will be yours. Do you understand what I mean? It's hard to describe in words. You feel on top of the world. It can be called an inner instinct. This feeling is the result of the work of creative imagination, and you already know what to do. All the previously mentioned tips will come in handy. So, to feel like a winner, you need to program your brain. Suppose you have a football match coming up. You are looking forward to this event and replaying a positive scenario in your head. Imagine how you score the perfect goal, how you look from the side, how you hit the ball, and it precisely goes into the opponent's goal. And most importantly, how you feel at that moment. Imagine everything in the smallest details. Become a winner in life. Start with visualizing victory. Second, how to heal the mind. The physical body has an amazing ability to heal itself. Whenever it gets injured, the body regenerates the damaged cells. At the site of a cut, a scar will remain, the skin on which will be thicker and stronger, protecting the damaged area. When we suffer an emotional trauma, the same thing happens. We become cold and callous so that no one can hurt us again. But if a scar on the skin can be removed with a laser, how to deal with a scar in the soul? Here you will have to perform the surgery yourself. Once, a wife found out that her husband was cheating on her. Friends and relatives advised the woman to forgive the infidelity and not break up the family. Being a good wife, she did just that. She stayed with him, kept the house clean, and cooked food. When asked what was wrong, the wife replied, "I forgave you, but I will never forget." The marriage could not be saved. The wound left by the husband's betrayal hurt for a very long time. Emotional scars do not go away by themselves. Time does not heal them, but only aggravates the pain. But you can learn to forgive, at least for your own sake. Holding on to a grudge, you harm yourself more than the person who hurt you. Forgiveness is the ability to see people differently. We often find ourselves in difficult situations. Someone cut us off in traffic, the store cashier was rude, or a colleague stole our idea. We accumulate resentment and irritation. But you can see the situation from another perspective. Perhaps the cashier had a fight with her husband this morning, and that's why she snapped at you. The colleague was in a rush, and the driver who cut you off was taking his wife to the hospital. Do not take everything personally. How to learn to do this? There are a few recommendations. First, practice positive thinking. When you start thinking about the situation, direct your thoughts in a positive direction, inventing plausible reasons for the actions of the offender. This is a great way to stop thinking negatively. Second, let it go. You cannot change the past. It is what it is. You will only torture yourself. And third, don't judge people too harshly. Each of us has our own problems and battles. Let them live their lives, and you live yours. Dr. Maltz, in his studies, advises his patients to perform this exercise. Recall a person who caused you a lot of pain. Write their name on a piece of paper. Sit at a table and relax. Imagine this person standing in front of you. Say aloud everything that has accumulated in your soul. Express all your claims. Tell them how much they hurt you. Be honest. And then, in your imagination, approach them, take their hand, and say, "I forgive you and wish you all the best. I am letting you go." Do this with all the people who have caused you pain. You will feel how the weight is lifted from your shoulders. Third, the correct installation. When we are about to undertake something new, we often imagine the worst outcome. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you think about failure, you attract failure. Start thinking positively. Try an experiment. Smile at the first person you meet on the street. Most likely, you will see a smile in return. Attract positive energy, and life will become more pleasant. Many people think of themselves as unfortunate, but this is not true. In the book Learned Optimism, the author argues that luck is an innate quality and can be cultivated. Imagine you have just had a job interview. You are leaving the office building, and suddenly it starts to rain. What thoughts come to mind? Well, great. I didn't get the job, and now I'm soaking wet. But it's worth changing the mindset. It's a good sign. The rain will wash away all the bad things, and now only good things will happen in my life. Learn to look at the world through the prism of positive thinking. This is the mindset of successful people. Dr. Maxwell Maltz studied the human mind all his life. By studying the peculiarities of thinking, he derived the formula for success. It lies in the ability to use the power of imagination to create a new self-image. First, you need to understand what self-perception you have now, and then use the power of visualization to form a new self-image. Learn to relax and let go of control. Forgive others and yourself. Start thinking positively. These are the steps that will lead you to success. Thanks for watching. If this video has been helpful to you in any way, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like it as well. Your feedback helps our channel grow, and it motivates me to create new videos. See you soon.